Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I know I've been gone for a minute, my bad. I just life stuff, things. Do you really care why I was gone? Doesn't matter, right? I'm here now. My hair is red now, yes, that's a change. I'll try to figure out what the color was called that I used. I got it at Sally's. There's like some L'Oreal Chroma something, I don't remember. But I'll try to link it down below because I'm sure some of you are gonna ask. I just wasn't feeling the blonde. Like, I thought it looked really good, but it didn't look good on me. It just wasn't, well, it did look good on me, but it didn't make me feel like me. Like, I felt like a different person. So, anyway, I was looking through my videos trying to figure out what kind of stuff I should film for you guys. And I remembered the adulting video that I did. And I was looking through the comments and you guys were really, like, excited about it and excited about the idea. And I think it's different and it's fun, so I'm gonna go ahead and continue this series. So this one, I thought I would, with this first video, I thought I would go into a little bit more depth on like moving out, maybe what you should prepare yourself for and what kinds of things you might encounter. So my story here, I moved out for the first time, like moved out of my parents' house when I was like 20, I think I was 20. I had been going to like community college, so I never like went off to college. And then even when I did go to like a normal four-year university, I didn't ever, like I never lived on campus. I've never lived on campus. So for those of you that are moving out to go live on campus, I'm not gonna be the best person to go to because I've never had that experience. But I moved out when I was like 20, I think, and it's because I was pregnant. So I moved out and my parents were like, well, you disappointed us, please leave. So I was like, all right, I'm out, don't worry about it. I'm gonna take me and my baby, we're gonna go somewhere else. I didn't get kicked out, but it was obviously the next step when you're gonna have a child and a family. And I mean, I had a boyfriend, we were having this baby together, you know? So we obviously made the decision to move somewhere. So I first did that when I was 20, and I have lived in like an apartment. I've lived in a townhouse, and I now live in a single family home. I have never purchased a home, but I've rented obviously a few times here. And so I do kind of know the process. So first and foremost, I mentioned this in the last video. I mentioned Credit Sesame in the last video, which I told you it's a site you can go to, creditsesame.com, and it's totally free and you can get your credit score. But in addition to your credit score, they also show you kind of how you're doing in different areas. So like how many accounts you have open, what, you know, your debt, how much of the, you know, say you have a $5,000 credit card, how much of that $5,000 credit card you're using. Like if you're using all, you know, $4,999 of it, that's not great. If you're using, you know, maybe $500, that's a lot better because you're using, you know, 10% of the credit that you have allowed to. So you get different grades and stuff. So not to toot my own horn here, but I did have a B in one of the categories and it might be up to an A now. So I've been using that for a couple of months now actually, and it's really helpful to know what your credit score is before you try to move out, because one of the first things that you have to do once you find a place is you have to apply to become a, you know, a renter there. And a lot of places have, like they can tell you before you even apply, you need to have you know, we're looking for you to have at least a 650 credit score or a 550 credit score, which is relatively, you know, on the low side, so it's attainable. Because the highest you can go is 850, and while you can definitely have a perfect credit score, it's just not something that everybody walks around with. Like, I'd be walking around with 850 tattooed on my forehead, like, what's up? You see how financially responsible I am? What's up? But anyway, the reason that it's important for you to know it beforehand, and especially if you can get it for free, like I said, if you want Credit Sesame, you don't put a credit card in or anything, and it's totally free, is because you have to pay an application fee. So if you know that a place only accepts, let's say 650 and above, and you can't have any you know, delinquencies, or you can't have, a lot of times what they're looking for is to make sure that you haven't like gotten any, you have no like delinquent accounts with, say, like utility companies, ComEd, well here like ComEd, and you do not have any delinquencies with like other renters, with other companies that you might have rented from, because that's obviously going to be a red flag to them that you are not a responsible renter. Now if you have a delinquency on your Macy's card or your Sephora card or whatever, like okay, they might not care, but it's better for you to know beforehand, because if you only have a 600 and you know that they only take as low as a 650, then there's no point in you wasting your money on an application fee that's just gonna get rejected. Because I've had application fees that cost like $150 just to apply to live somewhere, and might have all gotten accepted, but when you get denied, you don't get that money back. And so sometimes, you know, $150, like that's gonna make a little dent in your, you know, in your day, basically. Like you don't wanna lose that money. So make sure that before you go to apply somewhere, you kind of know what they're looking for and you know that you at least meet their minimum requirements. So it's good to know what your credit score is beforehand, and it's good to know kind of what you have on your credit history. And especially those of you that are younger and you're thinking about moving out, credit's important because it's going to determine what types of loans and stuff you get, what types of things that you can be accepted for. I mean, from car loans to home loans to student loans to all that different stuff. I mean, it's gonna really change what your interest is. And interest is a big deal, guys. Especially, I mean, if you have a $1,000 credit card and you have 20% interest, that's not good. But when you have a $250,000 house and your interest rate is 7%, you know, it's not great. Like, it's gonna make a much bigger difference the bigger your purchases are, the bigger your credit limit is. So it is important, especially early, to kind of get it in there and figure out what you have going on and figure out ways that you can improve your credit score. So like I said, I use creditsesame.com. It's super easy to use. I'll have a link down below, but it's just really good to know what's going on. Like the other day I had something reported. I had a delinquent account reported and they emailed me and they said, we have, you know, an update on your account and there's a new delinquency. And I was like, what? Sarah has been very responsible these last few years, okay? And it's an error. So now I have to reach out to that company and I have to like remind them, hello, I have the receipt. I paid everything off. So it's obviously just an error, but it's good to know. It's good to have these things, because had I not, you know, if I wasn't with some company like actually monitoring what I was doing, then I would never know that. And it could be years before I actually go in and look at my credit report, because who wants to do that? It's not that fun. But you also get identity theft, which is cool, because I have my identity stolen all the time. I'm not sure if it's because I'm on the internet that it happens as often as it does, or I'm just kind of like flippity jippity with my debit card and stuff, but I get it stolen all the time. I have my money stolen all the time. I've had my credit, my social, I've had everything stolen. So it is nice to have some identity protection, because we could use it. But anyway, so that is kind of the ground, you know, that's your base right there, okay? So in addition to that, another thing that I was really focused on when moving out was how much is it going to cost, right? So you have to have an income before you move out. Please don't move out and hope that you're gonna find a job. Like, good luck getting a place without a job to begin with. Because typically they want to see a few months of your work history, and kind of depending on where you move. Like one of the places I moved into, they wanted to see that we made twice as much as the rent. Other places wanted to make sure that we made 3.5 times as much as what the rent was. So, you know, if the rent's $1,000, you make $3,500, like combined or by yourself or whatever. That's what they wanted to see. That's what kind of made them feel comfortable enough to say, yes, okay, you can have this and you can have this lease. So if you're moving out with someone else, make sure that, you know, everybody's on the lease, because you want everyone to be responsible. You don't want to end up signing a lease and then having a roommate move in and then they don't want to pay the bills, or they're messing up the walls, or they're doing this, that, and whatever, and they're not actually financially responsible for the place. Make sure that both of you are on the lease. At least that's my suggestion. If everybody can be on the lease, I think it's better for everyone to be on the lease. It kind of puts all of your necks on the line versus just one person. And also make sure that everyone has money coming in. You know, whatever the job may be, just make sure that everyone is gonna be able to pay their part. And know that, you know, you move out, you have rent, which your rent is typically, if that's a fixed amount, and you'll sign a lease, you know, for 6 months or 12 months or 24 months, whatever. I would personally not suggest signing super long leases, because you never know, like a place might be great for you, but the management might suck, or your neighbors might suck, and it just turns out that, you know, you don't want to live there anymore. Or for instance, when I first moved out, we moved into a 1-bedroom apartment, which we loved, and it was like maybe 650, 700 square feet. It had a bedroom, it had the bathroom, it had like 2 little closets. I had like a cute little kitchen, and then it had like a living area and then like a little deck. And we moved in and it was just me and my ex. And then when we moved out 14 months later, it was me and my ex and my baby girl and my son. Like, our family expanded quite a bit during that time. So, you know, obviously we needed to go. So had we signed a 24-month lease, I would have just been insane having to live with 4 people in 1 bedroom, which is actually not even legal. So I had to go. But basically, just make sure that, you know, you're not getting in over your head, and just know that there are a lot of things that are going to vary. So even though something might look great, you know, when you walk in and you see the model, you know, you see the model apartment that they're trying to rent you or whatever, just know that there are a lot of different things, and management makes a big, management can be a big deal when you have things that are breaking, or, you know, you don't feel safe or whatever it may be. So make sure that you read reviews on places before you move into them, but also take them with a grain of salt, because a lot of people only review things when they've had a bad experience. So I had great experiences at the places that I lived. I did not leave a review. If I had had an awful experience at the places where I had lived, I might have left a review. You know what I'm saying? So take it with a grain of salt, maybe ask around, maybe go to that place, go to that area, go to that complex, go in the morning, go at night, go on the weekend, kind of check it out, see what the activity is there, see what it's like there, see what the parking is like, because there's nothing that I hated more than coming home and not being able to park by my apartment. I gotta like go around the block and park back here. I got 2 babies. I'm not trying to walk up and down these streets in the middle of the night, like, well, not in the middle of the night, but like 9 o'clock, it's dark outside, you know what I'm saying? Like, just go at different times of the day and kind of peep what the situation is. You know, and that's something you wanna do whether you're renting a place or you're buying a place, whatever, like you kind of wanna get a feel for the neighborhood. Also, keep in mind that while your rent might be fixed, everything else is not. So there are months where we've had like wild water bills, and I'm like, why is my water bill so much money? Or why did I just get a $400 electric bill? Like, what? So the other things are not fixed, you know, your water, your electric, your gas, your freaking cable and internet, like that stuff. Read the fine print, make sure that you know what you're getting into, make sure you know what you are signing, because a lot of times they do not have sympathy for you. They don't care. They got a million other people they're servicing, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. And if not, you're gonna end up not paying it, or if you don't have the money or whatever, it's gonna end up, you know, a 30 day, a 60 day, a 90 day, 120 day, you're gonna end up delinquent. That's gonna end up on your credit, which is gonna affect what you can do in the future. So make sure that you're really peeping out the places and you are very aware of the things that you're signing and what you're getting yourself into. So make sure that you have enough money. I mean, money is really what it's all about when you're moving out. As far as, I mean, obviously there's safety and everything else, but money is gonna play a big part, because that's gonna really define what it's like for you once you have moved out and you're living on your own and you're financially responsible for yourself. Make sure that you just have enough, and that you're really, if your bills are $300 a month, make sure you have $400 a month to spare for those bills. Make sure that you are remembering that you gotta eat. And you might think like, well, I could feed myself on you know, however many dollars. I could feed myself on $50 a week. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Maybe you forget that you like to drink stuff too. Like maybe you forget that there are other things, like food is expensive. You gotta factor in gas. You can't control gas prices. When we moved out, like gas was like $4.50 a gallon. Like, we're not going anywhere this week, and now gas is like $2 a gallon. So, you know, that can vary so greatly. You gotta remember that your car might need a repair, you might run something over, you might have a little fender bender, you might, you know, all these unexpected expenses are going to happen. So the best thing you can do is plan for them. Plan for the worst. Save a little bit of money. If your bills and everything got paid and you fed yourself and everything and it only cost you $2,000 for the month and you have $2,500, don't go blow the other $500. Like, you know, blow some of that, because live your life, have fun, but keep some of that and keep it to the side and make sure that you are building a little bit of a nest egg somewhere so that you can actually pay for things that come up unexpectedly and they don't just cripple you and ruin you for the month, because that really, I mean, it sucks. It sucks like having to be responsible, but the fact of the matter is that as you grow up, this is only gonna happen more, and it's really only gonna happen on grander scales. So now, like when something comes up for me, it's thousands of dollars, and I have to deal with that and I have to pay for it. And so thankfully, finally, Sarah grew up a little bit, and I'm finally at a point where I can handle doing that. Also, I'll say that I think it's a good idea for you to have at least one credit card. I am not one that likes credit cards. When I turned 18, my mother had put me on a credit card when I was 16, and so that actually did go onto my credit report. So by the time I was 18, I actually had credit. I had already proven that I could manage a credit card. So what happened was everybody was like, girl, you want some credit? And I was like, yes, I would like $150 to Victoria's Secret and $500 to Macy's and $300 to Torrid and $600 to this place and that place. And like, it's not a ton of money, but it added up, and I ended up with 20 credit cards before you knew it. And then I had no job. Like I had quit quit my job because I wasn't responsible, I didn't care. And then it ruined my credit. And so now I just say no to credit cards. I have one credit card and it's not even totally in my name. Like legit, it's my mom's credit card and she added me as a user, and I only have it because you have to rent a car with credit cards. And that's the only reason I have it. But I would say that it's a good idea that when you move out to have at least one backup, like safe credit card that you're not using to buy makeup or games or frivolous things that you're really only keeping for actual emergency situations. The Beyonce concert, not an emergency situation, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's kind of just the financial portion of moving out. If you'd like to see more, you know, this video is going to be long, so if you'd like to see more on actually buying things and like furnishing things and where to go and what to do and how to sort of plan that kind of stuff out, let me know down below. Oh, and I would also like to say that it's a good idea as far as money in the bank. It's a good idea to have about 3 months worth of your rent in the bank before you move out. And don't forget that you're going to have to pay usually you have to pay a deposit. Sometimes I have to pay a deposit of like $150, $200, and that's a deposit that they take no matter what. I will never get that back. Then other times it's just like 1 month's rent, which when you're paying a couple $1,000s for rent, 1 month's rent, bruh, like, because you have to pay the rent and then you also have to pay 1 month's rent. And some people will take that and they'll tack it on to the last month, so you're basically paying first and last month's rent. That's not the situation I'm in now. Like, they took that plus my first month and I gotta pay last month. So just know what you're getting into. Know that it's not just a flat rate. Like, there are a lot of things that get added in. There are a lot of fees. You gotta pay for this, you gotta pay for that, you gotta do all this. Like, oh, something broke? Well, we're only gonna be so responsible for it. You're gonna still have to handle this portion of it or whatever. So just know that financially, like, it's just have more money than you even think you need to have. Work your butt off. Save, save, save. Like, that's what I had to do, and I'm telling you, it'll make your life a lot easier if you're just planning for failure. Like, planning, not for failure, but just planning for all the things that might go wrong, basically. So, anyway, if you want to see more on the actual, you know, like, process of other things as far as moving out goes, like buying stuff and all that, let me know down below. I'll be more than happy to kind of continue and give you a part 2 of moving out. Yeah, maybe this will be part 1 and I'll give you a part 2. But anyway, that is all that I have to say. Remember, be aware of what your credit score is. Like, it really is very important. And you can check out creditsesame.com for that, which I'll put a link down below for that. I think that's all I have to say. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was enlightening. I know it's not going to be, you know, it's not something that all of you are dealing with or are gonna need advice on, but for those of you that do, I hope that it has enlightened you in some way. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them in the comments. And that's all I have to say. Give me a thumbs up if you wanna see more adulting videos. I mean, there are about a million different things that I could talk about. So I'd be more than happy to continue this series. It is very fun. So that's all I have to say, and I hope that I see you guys in my next video.